Hi, I'm here with Claire Dhéret, the author of the European Policy Centre's new policy brief entitled Youth Unemployment, Does the EU Care About Its Future? Claire, youth unemployment is clearly hitting new highs during the crisis. Is the situation as dramatic as sometimes described in the media?
Yeah, I think that the situation is dramatic, in particular in some member states. More than 23% of young people were unemployed in last January. But beyond the question of youth unemployment, I think that Europe should also pay attention to the category of needs, the young people outside employment, training or education. And we have seen that the crisis has led to an increase of this category of young people. So I think that it's particularly worrying because these young people are not only excluded from the labour market, but they are also excluded from the education and training systems, and they get increasingly disconnected from the rest of the society. All these, I think, constitutes a huge challenge for our societies, not only in economic terms, but also with regard to social cohesion.
Okay, and do you see the unemployment situation improving in the coming months?
So, first of all, I think that we have to note that the situation of young people is not homogeneous across Europe. Some young people are more vulnerable than others. And we also see that some member states have been relatively successful in maintaining a low level of youth unemployment. And although it is true to say that those countries have been less affected by the crisis, I still think that countries like, for instance, the Netherlands or even Austria have implemented interesting mechanisms or instruments to deal with youth unemployment, and that these instruments could also prove useful to other countries, for instance, in Southern Europe. With regard to improvement in the coming months, I think that we have to be very clear. The situation in some member states is still the economic situation is still very fragile, and these countries are facing huge pressure on public finances, which make the overall situation quite complicated. So to respond to your question, I think that there won't be any immediate progress in the coming months if Europe doesn't step in.
Okay, thank you. And what role is there for the EU in tackling the youth unemployment problem? First of all, should, and if so, how, can the burden be shared between the EU institutions and the member states?
So I would say, first of all, we have to see that there is an increased commitment of the EU in this area. So youth unemployment is getting increased attention on the EU policy agenda, which is good. We have seen that the EU has recently approved the Youth Guarantee Scheme to help EU regions with youth unemployment rate higher than 25%. We also see that there is a steady process of Europeanization of youth-related policies. But at the same time, there is no common policy model shared at the EU level to deal with this huge challenge. So I think that in order to efficiently deal with this problem, we need joint efforts of the EU and its member states. And I also think that we need the activation of 3 strategic plans, including the making optimal use of already existing mechanisms like the Youth Guarantee Scheme, the development of a comprehensive strategy, including some aspects of employability but also social protection, and also higher investment in young people at the EU level.
Okay, thank you very much, Claire. To read her paper, please click on the EPC website.